Hello survivors and welcome to another video. In this video we're taking a first look at 6-star Tobin, Life Among Them, who is the first 6-star or 5-star, any sort of top level Tobin character that we've had in the game. We do have 3 stars. And we might have a 2-star rolling around as well. Basically, low-star characters are getting a bit more recognition within the higher 6-star era, which is great. We've had Holly, we've had Father Gabriel, we've recently had Dale as well. And it's nice to see different characters for multiple reasons. You know, it's nice to see them because some people like these characters, but it's also nice to see them because it's not nice to have to deal with 8 different Ezekiels and try and work out which one you're coming up against. So that did happen in the 5-star era quite a bit with Jesus, Ezekiel, Sandy. And within 6 stars, it is an issue to a certain extent as well, but it's not as bad. But we do have Tobin here, and we'll look at his kit. His stats are Generation 2, and that means they add up to 5,300 total. He has 2,055 attack, 1,514 defense, and 1,839 HP. He is, of course, tough trait, and he has the role of damage. Now, his attack stat is actually pretty low for a Generation 2 6-star at 2,055. You kind of want it to be up about 2,200, 2,300 normally. However, I do actually think it works really well within Tobin's kit, just because the rest of it, in terms of what else he's got to offer within his rush, active, specialist skill, and weapon, he can be used in a very specific way, and in that specific way, you don't want him to have huge amounts of attack, and I'll explain more a little later. So we'll look at the Adrenaline Rush. It is 76 AP cost. It's called Bolstering Barrage. Deals 700% damage to 2 enemies. That's a huge amount of damage. That's Tyrese's Rush plus a bit. And basically Tyrese's Rush, the biggest downside of it is he has to use a line attack sometimes against single targets, whereas Tobin's never going to have that issue. If there's 2 enemies alive and they're not in a line, he will hit both those enemies, whereas Tyrese can never do this unless they're pain split, basically. The second part of his rush is up to 2 other teammates get 60% attack for 3 turns. That's pretty nice as well. So he is a semi-support character in that he buffs other people, because obviously he rushes, 2 other people are going to get buffed, and he can work on an attack team that way, giving people massive amounts of damage. And then the last bit is quite a tanky stat, which is interesting. Like, this guy offers a bit of everything, as you can't read it fully, but that is, this character gains 45 bonus HP, which is going to make him massively tanky. You know, having bonus HP on a defense team or an attack team is huge. Now, his active skill is a tier 1 active skill for sure. Recover stun generally never goes off a wrong time on a defense team. You're going to recover someone's stun, and that's generally beneficial. On an attack team, you can obviously decide when that happens, and because he's tough, that means he's going to be coming up against, you know, alert characters a lot. So recover stun is vital for against the alert characters. It is identical, I believe, to Mirabelle's, where it's got an initial cooldown of 2 and up to 2 teammates recover from stun. So I think it's just identical to Mirabelle's pretty much, and it is a very good one. The specialist skill, on a roll, this character's attack increases by 20% at the end of each turn, up to a max of 120% after 6 turns. Bonus resets if killed, stunned, or impaired. So if he gets to that 6th turn and he's got 120% bonus attack, he will keep that 120% bonus attack constantly up. And it stacks with other buffs. So if someone else buffs his attack by like 40%, he'll get that 40% and 120%, and they multiply with each other, so it goes higher and higher. Now, with that specialist skill, there is the potential that he can be used on a defense team, because obviously he can gain his bonus attack through his specialist skill, and he can be combat modded really defensively. And that's why having lower attack stat is actually kind of beneficial for him, because that means he's got higher HP and defense as a base, and you can raise them a bit through mods and make him a bit more defensive. Now, when it comes to his weapon, this is where it goes from that specialist skill potentially being useful on a defense team to he could be a really nice defense team character. So if you look at his weapon, he of course has absolute defense as an off-trait special. He has got 30% attack as well, so he will get an attack boost that way, or you can replace that if you want. But the middle stat you definitely want to replace with probably AP on attack. This is a really strong one for defense. Obviously, absolute defense is one of the strongest, if not the strongest, tier 3 special, because it can't be resisted. You can't recover from it, you know. Whereas if you attack someone with stun on defense, you can get stunned, but you can cleanse the stun and remove that, and you still do damage, and you still gain AP. You can attack someone with impair on defense, you still do damage, you still gain AP for that initial attack, and you can cleanse it afterwards. So AP down and absolute defense are two of the strongest in terms of it's impossible to cleanse them, it's impossible to bypass them. The difference between absolute defense and AP down, of course, is AP down is guaranteed damage. There's nowhere blocking the damage, whereas absolute defense can block everything, which is really, really good. And that's why I think this guy can work quite well on the defense team. You stack out those defense mods, you just rely heavily on his on and roll to get his attack up, and his rush is just such high base damage anyway, 700% is insane, that he's going to do so much damage output. If you put revives around him and, you know, have a shield, he's going to just have a lot of freedom to do a lot of damage. You could even kit him out a little bit more offensively as well, because if people do target him, he's going to get revived. You know, if they want to decapitate him, then that's when you're thinking maybe I want to just put some defensive combat mods on him and just make him a bit harder to take down. I think Tobin's actually pretty useful, especially behind leaders like the recently released Eric. I think he'd be a perfect character behind Eric and, you know, a shield and another couple of revives, active revives. So on defense, Tobin would be great. Obviously, he can go the other side and be an attack character, and he can support characters like Tyrese. That 60% attack drops onto Tyrese, and Tyrese line damage is just going to be insane. He's going to just do huge amounts of damage. And I think he could work potentially even on one of the teams I built recently. I was thinking about maybe replacing Mirabelle on a anti-ranged attack team just for the stun recover. So he's got stun recover, which is absolutely fantastic. So that's Tobin. Do tell me what you think about this guy. I think he's really strong, and I think if you have Eric and you have that sort of wild card slot position that you need to fill, Tobin would definitely fit in. He's a Generation 2 6-star as well, so he will have some longevity because of that, and he works on attack later on. So if defensive characters do get faster within their AP, he can be swapped to an attack character within your setup and still be useful with 76 AP. But that's it in my video, guys. Thank you very much for tuning in. Do tell me what you think about Tobin. Will you pull for him? You're going to drop some coins. I'm thinking about it, but I'm kind of wanting to save for Alice. I do like Alice a lot, but we'll see. But that's it in my video. Thank you very much for tuning in. And as always, guys, keep on surviving, guys. Keep on surviving.